Welcome everybody, we got a new video today. It's going to be a focus video on a two-wheel drive buggy. And it's going to be something new and exciting. Hopefully it's something you've never seen before. And here it is. Hopefully this is something new for many of you. As you can see in the bottom left there, it is a Schumacher. It's a Cougar SV. Not just any Cougar SV, this is a special version of the Cougar SV. This is the SV that came as a S1 kit. So what that means is it doesn't have any of the carbon parts that you might be used to seeing on some of these Schumacher cars. For instance, the front shock tower, your upper deck, the main chassis, the rear shock tower, all of them are made from their S1 material. The other interesting part about this kit is it came with these purple anodized shocks instead of your, at the time, big bores with threaded bodies. This was maybe a bit more of a budget kit. And as you can see, it is a mid-motor layout. As you can see right there, the third one down says mid-motor position, delivers awesome balance on the track and when jumping. To my understanding, I believe this is the first Cougar that was ever mid-motor. Not only is this a mid-motor car, but it has a completely different transmission layout than what we are currently used to. As you will see, the motor does not mount in a traditional way to what we are currently seeing with mid-motor cars. It actually faces completely the opposite direction. Inside the transmission, it is completely different than what we are used to today. And as you can see, a couple of those gears and the rear differential right there. So what we're looking at is this area here. What makes this very unique is there's two gears on the inside of the transmission, and then on the outside you will have two more gears that are covered with a second cover, and then you'll have your spur gear and pinion gear mounted on that side. That's what makes this car a bit different. Gear ratios are one of the reasons that this car is pretty interesting. As you can see, it has several different options for a final gear ratio that you just are not able to do on some current cars because of the fact that a lot of them have a 3-gear transmission. And so that gear ratio is pretty standard now. But as you can see here written at the top, if I can get that to focus, talks about the traditional two-wheel drive car from the US has always been an internal ratio between 2.4 to 1, or maybe a 2.6 to 1. And so you can see here, you get a 2.8 to 1, 2.6 to 1, and a 2.4 to 1 option. And then it has all of the tables needed to determine what spur and pinion gear you would want to run. As I was talking about before, this is the S1 kit, so it doesn't have the carbon fiber parts, but it's not a Schumacher without having a ton of options. So that top plate, for instance, had many different configurations that you could purchase at the time. So you have a different carbon fiber stiff plate, you have a carbon fiber medium flex plate, you have a soft carbon fiber top plate, and then you have what I have in this kit, and that is the S1 top deck and it's kind of a good all-around deck for medium grip surfaces. I always love the purple anodizing color that these cars and the company uses for so many of their vehicles. As you can see, out of the box, it came with 4 degrees of tow, which is quite a bit more than some kits currently run. And this car at the time, it was competing against basically all rear motor cars. There wasn't any mid-motor car that you could purchase. There was probably a lot of kits and different conversions at the time, but when I had purchased this vehicle, I went ahead and I bought 2 kits. So this kit was the second kit that I had purchased, and then I had another kit that I actually raced. This one I never got to race. It was kind of like my backup parts kit, because at the time it was hard to find a lot of parts. There wasn't many Schumacher dealers in the United States. This car I ran at the Roar Nats in 2013. That is the body that I did have for that race. It is a, if you notice, it's a cab forward body. It's actually from the SVR. And the race was on a sugared high grip track. And so the idea at the time was, well, I can run a mid-motor car that I had gotten a few years earlier, or the rear motor car, and I did bring both of them with me. This is what the kit body would look like. It's got the cab laid back, and as you notice, it's got a gear cover, because without that, your spur gear is totally exposed. It is hard to get the body on because of that design, but it works really well. You don't need a gear cover. That was something that the SV2 actually did come with. It had a gear cover. But the SV did not have that feature. And since this was my SVR body, I actually just cut out the back there and ran no gear cover. It worked out pretty well for me. I ran both cars at the race, and I actually did better with still the rear motor car, so that was the car that I ended up running in the qualifying and the mains. As you can see, it still has a lot of the features some of the more current Schumachers had. So it has the same top plate, bottom plate. A lot of the steering is the same. The arms are the older style. It still had the bearing wheels up front, and it had pins in the back. But some of the parts you could still basically take off of a modern car and put onto here, and you would be good to go. Just like those body mounts, or the wing mounts, sorry. You could upgrade those to something current. Here's another look at that bottom plate, the chassis, the back of the car. This car is actually meant to be run with an under tray, which I did run. And I painted it similarly to the body. I just couldn't find it for this video, unfortunately. Recently, Stormer Hobby had an online sale in their clearance section, and there was a couple Schumacher chassis in there. So one of them is a carbon chassis plus 8mm for the Cougar SV, and the other one is a alloy SV2 chassis. I do remember there was quite a bit of difference between the SV and the SV2, but there was a lot of similarities. So I'm going to try and use maybe these two chassis for a build someday. I will have to figure out, you know, the top deck situation is going to be completely different, especially with that plus 8mm. That definitely won't work with the current top deck. So that is something I'll have to search for some parts. Maybe I can get lucky on eBay